I didn't feel like it was an environment that was safe for me anymore. So I called the intercession ministry, actually texted them, and I told them, please pray, because I'm about to leave the apartment. I need a strategy to get out of here, and I want to make sure that I leave and there's no incident. They began to intercede and pray. Then at that time, he leaves the apartment and I find the opportunity to leave. So I grabbed my trash bag and I just started to stuff it with clothes, my daughter's clothes, my clothes, and I exit the apartment. I left to my relative's house.
So now to him who is able to do more than I ever could hope for.
Now, during this time, it was now COVID, and I was in quarantine. I was sick with COVID. And when I was preaching, during that time, I didn't have severe symptoms, but as time progressed, my symptoms started to worsen. I had difficulty breathing. I lost significant amount of weight. I lost my appetite, I lost my taste, smell, just all the symptoms. You know, I passed out a couple times on my couch. It was very, very bad. So I want you to put yourself in my shoes at that particular moment. I'm going through COVID. The home is hostile and toxic. I'm still having to do mommy duties. I'm leading intercession and I'm quarantined. I felt so restricted, and I went to God and I said, God, I need your help with this, because now I'm not even physically able to wage war. Now I'm tired, I'm overwhelmed. Years have passed by and now things were just getting worse. So now I'm going through all of this, and I said to God, God, what do I do? What do I do? Because I saw the enemy face to face, wanting to come right at me and wanting to manifest in my home with the spirit of violence. And I was not going to tolerate that. And I heard the voice of God. I know people may object to this and may think that this is not God's voice, but I heard God told me very clearly. He said, go. He told me to go. God knew. He's omnipotent. He's omniscient. He knew. At that time, he leaves the apartment and I find the opportunity to leave. So I grabbed my trash bag and I just started to stuff it with clothes, my daughter's clothes, my clothes, and I exit the apartment. I left to my relative's house. And the truth is, I could have left years prior, but I didn't, because I was always waiting for God to tell me what to do next. I didn't want to make a move out of emotions. I was always inclining my ear to him. And he was giving me instructions along the way. And I know when he told me that moment to leave, I knew it was his voice. So I left. But when I got to my relative's house, it took time for God to give me the next instruction. The reason why it took time was because really God was trying to deal with me in some other areas. He wanted to strengthen my prayer life. He wanted to take me to a place, to a journey of prayer. So when I got to my relative's house, I'm thinking, all right, God, I know you told me to leave the apartment. I'm here. What's next? Because at that moment, I was unemployed. He was the primary provider. He took care of all the major bills. So I was not in debt. I had zero debt. I never had any significant financial struggles during the time of the marriage. There were some issues in between, but he took care of most of the bills. So at the moment that I left to my relative's house, I get cut off financially. So now I'm having to kind of figure out what am I going to do, because, I had bills to pay now. Like, I was on my own. I was still married and I didn't qualify for food stamps. I didn't qualify for state insurance. I didn't qualify for anything because I was still married to him. I was like, all right, I need a job. I need to sustain myself. I need to figure out what I'm going to do next, because now I'm no longer receiving provision from him. He decided to cut me off. And I was in graduate school at the time. You know, I was navigating schoolwork. I was trying to figure things out for my daughter and I'm living in a bedroom in a relative's house. And I thought that from the moment that I was going to get there, I thought God was going to, you know, miraculously just dump money on me. And I thought that he was going to tell me what to do, where to go and all that. But the truth of the matter is, God didn't respond and didn't tell me what was going to happen in my marriage until a year and a half later. So from the moment that I left the house to the moment that he spoke to me, it was almost nearly kind of 2 years. I felt like that was taking a long time because I thought, you know, from the moment that I got there that God was going to tell me, oh, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. But little did I know that God was actually taking me through a journey and through a process. It was like God was using that time, that year and a half, to create a new identity in him. He was taking me through a reformation process. And it started with my prayer life. Like, I was already prayerful, but at that moment, my prayer life soared and my relationship with him grew even stronger. But yet I was still kind of like in the valley of decisions of, Laura, I'm still married to this man and I don't know what to do. And from the looks of it, things were still getting worse, even when I was no longer physically present in the same home with him. After 9 months of living in the bedroom, praying, trying to figure out what was next, you know, God opened the doors for me to move to a basement. I didn't qualify for an apartment. I didn't have the funds. My credit score started to drop significantly because now at this point, I was using my credit cards to purchase food and pay for necessities. And I was also just waiting for daily provision. I had people from church that would feed me, buy me clothes, buy me groceries, miscellaneous. You know, I couldn't receive any assistance from the government because, again, I was still married. So, you know, God was giving me my daily bread. And so I was also actively looking for employment. I couldn't find a job. And I believe now looking back, I think that God allowed that because God wanted me to focus on a mission. He wanted to ignite my prayer life, but also I think God wanted me to focus on my healing journey. And I'm thankful that God didn't open doors of employment during that time because I was able to focus on my healing journey and I was able to focus on helping my daughter in her healing journey, which I'm going to definitely share about that testimony as well. So I moved to the basement and that was another journey because now I'm still praying. Now I'm 9 months out from not living with this person and I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen next. Like, I kept trying to seek God. I'm like, Lord, I just need to know, what do I do next? And for that time, God would speak to me about everything else, but he did not speak to me clearly about what I needed to do concerning the marriage. So now it's a year out. I'm living in the basement. God is providing for me on a daily basis, using my credit cards. I'm just navigating life, trying to figure out what to do next. And I'm also in school, finishing my master's degree. And I decide at that point, a year out, I said, I'm going to do a fast. So I decided to do a 21-day fast. I remember this moment. It was actually so beautiful. I kept that fast to myself and I got a bed sheet and threw it on the floor. Now this is hardwood floor and it's cold. You know, it was the winter now at this point. And I sleep on the floor. And my daughter, who was young at the time, she says, Mommy, I want to sleep with you on the floor. Like, she didn't know the purpose of why I was sleeping on the floor. It was something that I felt led to do. And she slept with me all 21 days. She slept with me. I didn't tell her to do it. She slept with me on the floor. And I feel like that was also a sign from God because God was showing me, like, I'm there with you. So I was praying and fasting for 21 days. And around day 15 and day 19, I think it was, I have this dream. And in the dream, I see him, but I also see another woman. And the dream was very explicit in nature. And if you're an adult, you know what I'm referring to. So there were multiple scenes in the dream. And basically, God was conveying a message to me. And when I woke up from the dream, I checked my phone. And there was a minister that sent me a text message basically confirming what I saw in the dream. I mean, this was something supernatural. At that moment, I knew something shifted and I knew something took place. But even though God showed me in the dream, and even though I received confirmation from that minister through that text, I needed to hear it from him. 1 week after the fast, he gives me a call and he confirms what God revealed to me in the dream. And at that moment, I knew my life was going to change. And it did.